Join as we go ahead. All right. Hello, and welcome to Exile and Bookbill's Booksellers on Tap series, where we host top shelf booksellers from all over the country, talking about what consumes their lives the most these days, namely great books. If you're a first timer, I'm Javier Ramirez, and along with Kristen Gilbert, co-run Exile and Bookbill. We're an online site at the moment, but we'll break free of those virtual restrictions and open a real live bookstore later this year. These bookseller events are so much fun for me, as I get to hear what my bookstore comrades are excited about, and you all get a little peek behind the curtain. As the event progresses, Kristen will post a link in the chat for each store so that you can all pre-order or order the books discussed today. This is really going to be a lot of fun. At the beginning of the year, we get to talk about books that we've read last year or in the past, or what's coming out. So you're going to get a good mix of stuff, and you're in for a treat tonight with our panelists. Please welcome Tara Baldridge, Amanda Qassar, Josh Cook, and my co-host tonight and every night, Nick Buzanski. We're just going to jump right in and get started. We're going to go round robin and just talk to each of our guests and ask a couple of dumb questions along the way. We're going to start with Tara Baldridge. Tell us a little bit about where you're from and what you do with, and tell us where you're from. Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, so I am a co-owner at Bookish Chicago and Varia. I started out as a student at the University of Chicago, working at the seminary co-op, and then moved over to 57th Street Books, where I kind of found my home for a long time. It was there I met my business partner, and after multiple publisher, literary related careers in wholesale, retail, street festivals, we decided to branch out and start our own little endeavor. We started out with pop-up shops, then COVID hit, and we went online. So now you can find us online at bookishchicago.com. We also have a YouTube channel, which is new and interesting.
I saw your Instagram post for you guys talk on.
Oh yeah.
On the part. It's kind of awesome. Yeah, so Tara and I, we worked together at 57th Street for a little bit, and she's one of the best booksellers I've ever met. And we worked for a short time together, and I'm glad that you're still in the game. It's nice when people stick around, even though you part ways and stuff. But
yeah,
we'll do one book at a time. That's okay with everyone.
Yeah.
Want to talk about your first book?
Let's see. I'm going to go off the range, and I'm going to talk about something that I was really excited about. Originally, I'm from the South. I'm from Louisiana. So soul food and Southern cooking has always been a huge part of my existence. Cooking with family, but I'm also really interested in other cuisines. So I was really excited about this, the Twisted Soul Cookbook. So it is Deborah Van Treese, and what's interesting is she started out as a flight attendant, and so she loved cooking, and then she was traveling all over internationally, and she was tasting all these different foods, and she was realizing that the Southern comfort food had similarities in other countries. So everybody had their own comfort food, but she also wanted to remain central to her African-American Southern roots. And so she started integrating those other cuisines within what she was already cooking. So it's very interesting. She's about a lot of sustainability. So she has an entire chapter here on cast-offs, so oxtails and pig ears and stuff, which you don't often see. But the pictures are fantastic. There's some really great recipes in here. So one that I really like is a meatloaf Wellington, which I think kind of says everything about what she's trying to do with her cooking. So her restaurant is also a poorhouse. And the only thing that I don't like about this book is that it doesn't have drink recipes. because I don't know if anybody else does this, but especially during COVID, I look at restaurants and I look at their menus and I kind of salivate over what I would get if I could go to a restaurant. So I was looking, and she has a cocktail called Southern Playalistic Cadillac Martini with bacon infused vodka. So I was like, why is that recipe not in this book?
Yeah, that's a recipe we all need,
Right?
hands down. For like, we've had time on our hands. We need to be bacon infusing vodka. I mean,
it's like the next frontier.
and doing it right.
Yeah. Yeah. So this one I was super excited about. It's got a lot of things that I want to try. So if anybody is a foodie, you like cooking, interested in Southern food, but you're tired of just eating macaroni and cheese, take a peek. It's really good.
So when things open up, and we open our store, you can come and do a demonstration. Drink some martinis. What was the martini called again?
Southern Playalistic Cadillac Martini.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to order that at the bar.
Yeah. So I'm assuming based on the song.
Yeah. That's awesome though. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Yeah.
All right, Nick.
Hey Amanda, how is everything?
Hello there. Pretty good.
Good to see you. Can you let us know what you're drinking and what the whole deal is with what you've been doing for the last year, few months, anything?
Sure.
How are you guys doing?
Well, we're okay. I work at Warwick's. It's the nation's oldest continuously family owned and operated bookstore. So not the oldest bookstore in the country, but it stayed in the same family for 4 generations. And we're very well known for author events. We have almost a couple hundred a year. So I've been helping orchestrate our virtual event program, and it's been pretty cool. It's, there's always an adjustment period to the technology, but it's very enjoyable to have people from around the world coming together. So that's been great. And I am drinking a gin and tonic from a local distillery called You and Yours. It's actually a woman-owned distillery, which I think is pretty cool. So
nice. Where are they out of? They're out of LaJoya, or
say again?
They're out of your town, or close to Southern California? San Diego. Okay.
San Diego. And I put some lemon and rosemary from my garden in it. So cheers, everybody.
Nice. Mm-hmm. And what is your first book choice of the evening?
I am going to talk about a weird book. It's called Maxwell's Demon. And this book is What?
Did he do Rorschach texts?
Yes, which I have not read, but I totally want to read after reading this. So it's been 14 years since that book.
Yeah, I remember I was like newly at Green Apple Books when that book came out, and it was like blew my mind. It was insane. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but
no.
I hadn't heard the name, and I haven't seen that on my radar, so this is great.
Yeah, definitely still in the mind-blowing realm. So this book features our protagonist is a character that we may all be well acquainted with, a struggling novelist. And he's taking small writing gigs to help pay the bills. His wife is working on an island halfway across the world. The bills are piling up and he's really despairing. And then one day he gets a voicemail from his father, which seems normal, except that his dad has been dead for 7 years. And so that's when the wild ride begins. A lot of the blurbs about this book refer to other authors and pop culture phenomena, like with the mind-bending qualities, like Murakami, Philip K. Dick, House of Leaves, Memento, Italo Calvino. My favorite blurb is from Foyles, a UK bookseller. They say, it's Raymond Chandler meets Dan Brown meets Albert Einstein meets Christopher Nolan meets Borges. A mind-expanding, page-turning adventure mystery that crackles with intelligence and intrigue. A book about books, sort of, that's been beautifully rendered in book form. And The Guardian also called it showily postmodern, which that's a trait that can either delight or horrify me. And in this case, I found the postmodern motifs and forms to be really fun and interesting. So that's Maxwell's Demon by Stephen Hall. I think it comes out on April 6th. So you can pre-order it now.
Yeah, Rorschach Texts is one of my, I think about that book all the time. So freaking good and groundbreaking. I think it probably came out, if not around the time, before or after, but right around the same time as like House of Leaves. And it had that sort of same format.
Yeah,
but I think it was ultimately better than, I mean, it didn't get the attention it deserved, you know?
Yeah, it was crazy. I remember when that book came out and reading the arc and being like, how do I sell this book to anyone? But
yeah,
it wasn't hard.
Yeah, my coworker read it and we both liked it, but it's not really what the kind of book that Warwick's is known for. So I'm really happy to have a different venue to talk about it in, because it could potentially be a hard sell at our store. It's a little out there, to say the least. We sell a lot of historical fiction and like book club stuff, which is totally rad, but this is not that. So
awesome. Thanks a lot, Amanda. Thanks, Nick. Next up, we have Josh Cook. Josh, tell us a little bit, before you tell us a little bit about yourself and your store. Josh is the author of An Exaggerated Murder from Melville House that came out. God, how long has this been out, Josh?
2015.
2015. And I was lucky enough to meet, I think I'd known you. We hadn't really sat down to talk, but I think it might've been in Memphis where I had dinner with you and the incomparable Stacey Williams. Was it Minneapolis? Yeah, it was Minneapolis.
It was very cold. And I don't remember Memphis.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And it was you and I and Stacey Williams and Jim Nichols, I think, right? And so I got to meet you, and I was gushing about your book and making me feel uncomfortable at that dinner, but the drinks certainly helped after that. But tell us a little bit about yourself and your store.
Yeah, I'm at Porter Square Books in Cambridge, Massachusetts. We've been open for about 16 years, and that's how long I have been in the industry. While I can still say this, we are the reigning PW Bookstore of the Year. So not the best year to have a big publicity thing to tout around, but you know, we've got it. They can't take it away from us. I'm a co-owner, I'm a bookseller, I'm the publicity director. So I do kind of manage all of our social media, our website. It's a lot of fun now because I don't have to do nearly as much of it as I did when we started. I just kind of got the voice established, and now are watching other booksellers use the platform and make it what they are. So that's been a lot of fun. Stephen Hall of Rorschach Texts and Maxwell's Demon fame was, I think, the first author I met at a bar after a Winter Institute. It was Portland. It was my first Winter Institute. And I'm pretty sure the galley of Rorschach Texts I have has his email address in it. When we hosted him for an event, we tried to do this weird mystery game thing. So I was very excited to see another book come out from him. You know, authors sometimes just disappear a little bit, and so I just finished it as well. And you're not going to guess the ending, I guarantee. But so you might guess it with 15 pages, but it was fun to see Amanda talk about the film as well.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I saw that on your list of books. That was pretty great. Josh, before you talk about your first choice tonight, what are you drinking, if you're drinking anything?
I'm drinking Sun Buzz. This is Winter Hill Brewing, a local brewing company about a 20-minute walk from me. This isn't my favorite of theirs. I really like it. My favorite of theirs is a beer called Suburban Home. And it's, one of those few beers where you just can really drink a liter. Sometimes you just need to drink a liter of beer. I don't know if it's hard to see. I don't see a lot of nodding happening, but then again, I don't see a lot of your faces. I see a lot of muted symbols and names. I bet Stacy's nodding though, or Vito's nodding for me, but they just one of those beers you can just drink a liter of, and it's fine. And yeah, I very much look forward to doing that while reading in public again. Hopefully by someday.
Yeah. Well said.
I guess I'll go right to my first book, should I?
Oh, please, yes.
So this is Murakami's Garden by Mario Bellatin. Apologies for probably not doing the Spanish of his name correctly. Bellatin has a way of saying the loud part quietly. So his stories light this kind of long fuse in your brain that can crackle and spark for months before exploding. One never knows quite where to look or what to pay attention to. There's this slow story of art, identity, patriarchy, and cultural mores winds through the fallout of a critical essay a young woman writes about an art collector. I thought I had a handle on this book until the last chapter. And then he just blew that to pieces with essentially a series of addenda and notes that called into question absolutely everything. He's baffling, it's beautiful, it's unique. Bellatin also wrote one of the great plague novels. It's out of print now, but New Directions did a translation of it a few years ago called The Beauty Salon. And it is.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And
that book was awesome.
Yeah, it's a plague narrative. There's kind of a wasting disease, but I think it's actually more about metaphor. And I had to be having not read that book for 6 months to really realize that it's actually, the beauty salon is not a metaphor, because that's not how the world works. And he set this whole thing up for you to expect a metaphor to do what you're always taught it does, and then it just doesn't, because equivalencies don't work that well. Especially when there's trauma and death involved. And so I suspect there's something like that in Murakami's Garden as well, and probably in all of his books, but I'm just not quite far enough away. I'm not far enough along on the fuse for that explosion to happen. So it's Deep Vellum, wonderful small press out of Dallas. They do some great work. And if you're a Cesar Ira fan, I guarantee you're a Bellatin fan.
That's great. What do you got there, Nick? Your background's writing it out. And you're dark.
Yeah, and I'm muted. Sorry, that's the new Cesar Aria. That's the divorce, the Penny Smith book.
Well, I was going to ask, did you want to talk about a book that you're excited about?
I'm good for now. No, I want to keep.
Sure.
Other people talk about books. No, look, this is going to be great. It's Cesar Aria with a foreword by Patti Smith. New Directions did all the work for me. Who needs to be a bookseller anymore?
Good point. Oh man, thanks, Josh. That was good.
No, but I did love The Beauty Salon. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's okay.
I love that book. That book was amazing. I didn't know that it was out of print, and I haven't brought it in a long time. But I'm going to talk to them about that.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
Tara, what do you? I didn't ask what you were drinking. Sorry.
Oh, I have a Stiegel Radler, the Citron. So
okay,
very mild, but delicious.
Yeah. That's all you need really in a drink. I have to ask about the earrings, which are awesome. Can you tell us what?
So these are my skater earrings because I'm a skater. Semi-skater, but the author of Katie the Cat Sitter is a skater, so I was like, why not?
Awesome.
So
is that the book you're going to talk about next, or?
Sure, I can.
All right.
I can. So Katie the Cat Sitter is a middle grade graphic novel. And the reason I'm talking about this one is because this was like my unexpected hit. I mean, I looked at the title and I thought, I don't know. But it's awesome. It's all about girlfriends and ingenuity, and it's really exciting. It's a little superhero. It has 200 and I think 40 something cats. So it's kind of like, if you remember the movie Cats versus Dogs, where all the cats and the dogs, they have the superpowers, and one's like a, physics genius, and one is a mathematician, one's a builder. So this is what this is about. So Katie starts out, she wants to go to summer camp with her girlfriends, but she doesn't have the money. And one of the girlfriends' moms wants to give her the money, but Katie says, no, I want to earn it myself. So she goes about all these little jobs and finds out she's pretty terrible at all of them. So there's that message. And then she gets picked up by a woman in the building and asked to babysit her cats. So when she goes to see these cats and finds out they're 200, she's very excited at first. And then while she's there, the cats completely destroy everything in the apartment, like rip the furniture, the curtains, destroy everything. And then the mom of the cat comes home at 11 p.m. or something. So between like 10:55 and 11, they fix everything. So when she walks in, it's perfect. So it's really hilarious. It's set in the city. It has a lot of multicultural characters in it, which is really great. There's a superhero adventure. There's a mystery. It has a little bit of a, has anybody seen The Boys?
Yeah.
Okay, so it has a little bit of that kind of the superhero behind the superhero.
Right.
So it's surprisingly funny and heartfelt and totally not what I was expecting. So I highly recommend it for middle grade and even adults.
Are you going to send everybody a pair of those earrings?
Oh.
Nice one.
It should come with the earrings, right?
Seriously,
and the author, the author's name is Colleen A.F. Venable. So,
oh wow.
If that tells you anything about what to expect. So
that's a great recommendation.
Yeah, it reminds me kind of a Roller Girl along that vein. But like I said, surprisingly interesting and super funny, which, I love a funny book.
We need a lot of that. We need a lot of that these days.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tara. Thank you so much.
And it's a good market to try. Like we have a blog post coming up at Books Are Magic that's like books for your kids that aren't interested in reading, and like the graphic aspect of that is like so important. And there's a lot of good stuff out there, but this one is like definitely funny and really good.
And there's a lot, I don't know if you guys can see this, but like how it tells about the different cats and like what they're doing. It's so clever. Yeah. It really is. It's really, I highly recommend it.
Very cool. Very cool. Thank you.
Awesome. So on the topic of earrings, Amanda, can you tell us about your shirt and then your next book pick?
About my what?
Your shirt.
My shirt.
Is it not something super cool that we should all know about?
My shirt was designed by, oh no, why am I blanking on his name? A fellow.
Is it Larry Law?
Yes, thank you. He's our he's making a bunch of great things for booksellers to wear these days, and this is the Book Monster, and it's saying to bring me the head of Jeff Bezos.
That's such an awesome
I didn't mean to
shirt.
make that so awkward. Javier made me ask you. You should have been prepared. I blame Javier.
And Larry just joined, so.
No way.
Yeah, this is how it works.
Yeah, everyone should get these shirts. Maybe someone can find the link to drop in the chat.
Yeah, we'll get that from Larry and we'll make sure that happens. He's an incredible artist. He's done some work for us for our website and for our events and stuff. So yeah, support Larry as much as you can.
But what is your next book pick, more importantly?
My next
Sorry to put you on the spot on that one.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, it summoned a bookseller, so it works. Also, Luna very much approves of Tara's last book.
Nice, so pretty.
Okay, so this is this book surprised me. This is Fox and I, An Uncommon Friendship. It comes out on July 6th. It's a debut novel from Catherine Raven, who is a biologist and a former national park ranger, and now is a professor in Georgia. She left home at 15 and made a life for herself in wild places, and eventually built her own house on a plot of land in Montana, very far away from most people, mostly teaching remotely and leading the odd field work class. Lived a pretty solitary existence. She's sort of the kind of person who chooses loneliness and nurtures an independent streak that sort of dictates not wanting to be part of any group that would have her as a member, which I kind of understand. So one day she realizes she's been seeing this fox make rounds at her house every day, and she realizes this fox is showing up promptly at 4:15 p.m. every day. So she decides to set up a chair near where the fox has been setting up and chilling, and sets up a chair, and the fox shows up and settles in, and she doesn't really know what to do with a visiting fox. So she opens up a book and starts reading to him. And it's The Little Prince, which many may know features a fox, much like this one. And he seems to be listening day after day and keeps coming back. And she's a scientist, and her training has taught her it is very not cool to anthropomorphize animals. But as she spends more and more time with this creature, she finds that she needs to come to terms with the fact that he has a very distinct personality and also seems to be feeling kind of like a friend to her. So besides having exquisite nature writing in it, both about the fox and the wild places that Raven has known, it's also at its heart a story about a misfit kind of person who is highly logical and organized and compartmentalized in their mindset, but has to come to terms with forces and influences that challenge her structures. And it's also a literary memoir. She weaves other books into the narrative, and the characters in those books, and even the books themselves, become characters in this book, like Moby Dick, Frankenstein, and of course The Little Prince, which also features that fox. So this book made me weep, and it's really just a lovely memoir / nature book. So that's Fox and I from Catherine Raven.
Yeah,
Awesome.
No, that book is super cool and super exciting, and yeah, touching. You gotta love those touching nature memoirs that I think we've all been needing over the last years. You know, we've seen a couple from like Milkweed and stuff that are like just make it kind of melt inside, because you're like, this makes us think there's hope in the world. Hopefully, but you know, because we all want to hang out with a fox.
Who doesn't?
Ultimately.
Right? Who doesn't? So Amanda, is that behind you? I like your background. I'm going to assume that they're either magazines or vinyl.
This is vinyl.
Good.
Like a lot of book people, I like to collect things. So
yeah, awesome.
Completely unreasonable things.
Yeah, we're our bookstore, when Kristen and I opened the bookstore Exile in Bookville, which is obviously a take on Exile in Guyville, Liz Phair's seminal album, 1993 album, and we love the combination of books and music, and we try to do it as much as possible. And we'll sell some vinyl, a little bit of vinyl in the store when we open, which leads me to Josh. I'm going to ask you, and if you guys can think about this before you talk about your next pick. And I'm tearing a page from my mentor, Craig Poplar's. What was your very first concert that you went to by yourself, not with your parents or a guardian?
Think it
And
was,
there's no shame in whatever it was. Let's just get that.
so I grew up in Lewiston, Maine. So it's about I don't know if anyone knows Maine geography, but it's about an hour north of Portland. Still a city, but not a place a lot of bands would go to. And you can shame Lewiston for this. I think we get a call out in a Limp Bizkit song for being the like highest per capita purchases of their second album. So I love my hometown. It's made some mistakes, but my first concert was, I think, a Boston on the Road tour with the Dropkick Murphys, Bim Scala Bim, no, not the Ducky Boys, someone else, and headlined by Mighty Mighty Boss Tones when they had that hit in '95 or so. So I actually didn't even realize I saw the Murphys with their first singer before the guy who kind of has been with them forever. And I don't know, there weren't many concerts, so I just went to the one that was there, and it was a pretty good show.
Yeah, I bet it was. Like the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones.
Yeah, I didn't think you could make me feel older than I always feel every day. If that was your first concert.
What was yours, Nick?
Man, I mean, I saw the Smiths in LA with my cousins,
Brag.
like in the 80s, but like, I mean, I saw all those bands that were just mentioned, like in high school. You know what I mean? I'm old.
Don't worry, Nick. I was in high
That's what
school.
I'm-
Took me a long time to go to my first show. There weren't a lot of shows.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, cool. Then I don't feel as bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
That's a good first.
But I think the first was like going down and staying with my cousins in LA, seeing the Smiths and the Cure.
Jesus, that's awesome.
Which my parents would have never let me do ever, but I was like
What you
12.
want?
I don't know.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And it sets you on this lifelong.
Yeah, and they were like, "You should be a bookseller
Exactly.
for your whole career. Don't join a band and make a lot of money. Like, be a bookseller."
Josh, I won't read the Smiths line from your book. I'll share with everybody later. But it's I keep saying this, and I'm sorry, but it's such a wonderful line. It just evokes so much. When I read it, I was just like, that's fucking perfect.
I will never stop someone from selling my book.
Maybe I'll read it later,
Yeah.
after a couple more vodka sodas.
Yeah.
Tell us about your next pick.
Yeah, so my next book is Slipping by Mohammed Kher. And I don't have a copy of this because I lent the galley because I want a lot of people to read it. It's from Two Lines, comes out June 8th, translated by Robin Mosier. And Slipping is a novel of the strange spaces in the folds between magic and reality. The in-between places in every city, the stories that fog and change as memory erodes. It's also a story of both personal and national tragedy, as it takes place against the backdrop of the Arab Spring in Egypt and reckons with how that may or may not have lived up to the potential that people really hoped for in those first few months. There are dreams deferred. It deals with dreams deferred and the pyrotechnics of regret. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Amanda. There is just one line about regret that I'll warn you all ahead of time. You're going to have to like sit for a little bit afterwards and probably try not to think about anything. It just calls up everything you've personally done wrong and puts it in front of you. And it's really wonderful in how it does that. It's strange, it's beautiful, it's challenging. I think of this as perfect for fans of Catherine Davis, which there's an author who is very difficult to find people who can evoke the way she does. And probably also Carmen Maria Machado. So, man, you want to give me that cover again? So Slipping, 2 lines, out on June 8th.
Awesome. Thanks. I like the Stacey Williams, Catherine Davis is fucking amazing, which she is. Thanks for that's a good comp. And thank you for that recommendation. Josh's bookstore link is in the chat if you want to order that as well. Tara, you are up next. And I think I was going to ask about origin stories, but I think you already kind of gave yours.
Yeah, it's
Did you give it?
boring.
No, it's not. Nothing about you is boring. Come on. What was your first concert then?
So I won't count the high school concerts because my mom bought the tickets, even though she didn't go with me. So the first concert that I actually purchased a ticket to myself, and I went with another girl from the bookstore who we weren't really friends, but we both love this artist, and we just randomly were like, let's go, was to see Seal for his first ever concert in the US. And it was amazing. And I've seen him 3 times in concert.
Where did you see him at?
It was at, was it Argonne or was it?
Or the Riviera, maybe?
Oh yeah, it might have been the Riviera, whichever one has the bowl in the center and then where it's like a mosh pit, but then it has seats at the top.
That's the Riviera.
Okay, so
yeah, the Seal mosh pits I heard were crazy.
Yeah, it was so amazing. I mean, I was in college and I was like, I'm gonna buy this concert ticket and go with this stranger that I've only worked with for 3 weeks.
That's awesome.
And it was amazing. We had the best time. So.
Oh, good. You guys still friends?
I don't even remember her name, and I am so...
You know, she's probably watching tonight, so I want to watch it. So.
No, I'm sure. She only stayed there for like maybe 3 months or so. It was, you know, I don't think she would like
the reach is a little bit bigger than it is.
Well, when you're on here, that's why I'm just assuming that everyone's tuning in because of you.
But it speaks to more of how long ago that was.
Do you want to tell us?
No. I already said it was his first US concert.
Everyone's Googling right now. When was the first? Somebody put in the chat.
Everybody's like, when was Nick Buzanski 12 years old?
Yeah, so it was a long time ago.
Okay, so what's your next pick?
My next pick, I don't have the book. I am listening to it on audio, and it is called Call Baby by Morgan Jerkins. So I'm doing a lot of first books here, I think. So the reason I ended up picking this up is, number one, the cover was, I thought, just really amazing. And I've been familiar in like one of those odd ways about the story of Call and how significant it is, and you know, babies being born with Call and having these magical powers, and it's supposed to be healing. And so the premise of the story is these people in New York are born with Call as a hereditary trait, and all of the girls through the generations, and they've been selling it to people. And now they're in kind of dire need because the woman who is supposed to be the next call bearer has not had children. So the call is going to run out. So the story starts with Layla and her husband, who are desperate to have a baby, and they've had a string of miscarriages, and Layla is finally pregnant. And even as her pregnancy is progressing, she comes in contact with the Melancons, who are the call bearers, and she ends up talking to Josephine, who is the callbearer who cannot produce children, and is intrigued about purchasing the calls, because even though her pregnancy is progressing, she's still thinking her baby is not going to be born. And she makes an agreement to purchase the call, and I think maybe 6 weeks before her baby is due, the Melancons pull out and they tell her she can't have it. So of course, you know what happens. She loses her baby. So that starts this whole like betrayal, family dynamics. At the same time, Layla is unable to have her baby. Her niece is pregnant and she's in college and she's hiding her pregnancy. So all of that is entwined together. And this is on the back of the book, so I'm not doing any spoilers. The niece's baby ends up going to Josephine, and the niece's baby is born with a call. So it's all of that. So it's like mental illness, infertility, family betrayal, secrets, lies. It's set in New York, and the writing is fantastic. The characters are really well crafted. Even though there's a lot of women, they are all very distinct. Their voices are really, really solid. So you get to know these people. And the author has been compared to Ta-Nehisi Coates and Jackie Woodson. So if that gives you an idea of what the writing is like, it's very, very rich. So yeah.
What was the title again? I'm sorry.
Call Baby.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or I feel like I read books either out or coming out about motherhood and like both sides, like whether to have a baby or not have a baby. And I read the 9 Lives of Rose Napolitano, which it's like 9 lives of a woman who goes through 9 different iterations of her having a child with someone or not having a child with someone. They're different. So you have to keep track of all these different timelines. And then I read Echo Wife dealt with that as well, which is an amazing, I just love that book. I got to go back and read Magic for Beginners, but yeah, it's fantastic. And it dealt with that as well, right? She had to, whether her partner wanted to have the baby and she didn't, then I'm not gonna say what happens, Amanda, but you know, it gets crazy. And I read another like 3 in a row, and then you're talking about this title. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
How all these other, this is sort of a thing, which is not a bad thing. It raises questions about
which
that,
also I have to say is like, that is the best pitch for a book that I've heard in the year that makes me want to like run out and read a book. I just want to say that. I'm gonna run out and grab that. Find that guy, get it. No, seriously, because it like that was like, man, all I want to do is find out what the fuck happened here.
Yeah.
I want to know this. And like that is like what these things are so amazing for, is like hearing a pitch like that and being like, this isn't a book that normally would be on my radar, but like, damn, that's the next book I'm gonna read straight through. So thank you for that, Tara.
Good.
I'm stoked on that.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's good. It's always like, I love the contemporary books with just a little hint of magic in there.
Yeah,
And,
no, it's so good.
You know,
it's like, and some do it great and some do it terrible, but like sometimes when like, and the way you pitched it was like,
oh great.
damn,
I think it's that Louisiana
and
connection.
I know my entire staff will like love that, and I'm gonna have everybody have a copy at the store, and we're gonna sell the shit out of it. It's gonna be
All
great.
right, let me know. It comes out April 6th.
Yeah,
that's huge.
But it's on Libro FM right now. So.
Oh, cool. So yeah, I'll let everybody know. But I know that like that's like right at my staff's like
oh good
aisle right now, and also it's not the book I would normally read, but all I want to do is read it now that you said everything that you said.
All right, good.
So, thank you.
Before Nick talks to Amanda, how about April 6th? It's going to be a crazy release day. There's so much amazing stuff coming out on April 6th. Like, I think we talked about 3 books today that come out in April 6th. But go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, April and May are going to be kind of nuts. Buying has been off the hook. You try and like not hold back, but everything you look at, it sounds great. And yeah, there's a lot coming out. There's a lot of stuff that's come out already. This one comes out April 13th, but because it kind of ties into Raw Shark texts and other things talked about, nobody's gonna see it because I got my bad background. But this is Two Lines Press, Nancy, by Bruno Yoret, I believe. But I just gotta say, there are so many pages filled with X's that nobody's gonna be able to see. But there's just something to be said for a book that I don't have to read half of it, and it's under 200 pages. But it's still amazing. You know what I mean? Like, so I love translated literature. The other one that just kind of plays into that is also not going to show up very well, but it's Negative Space. It's through the Santa Fe Writers Project. It's Lily Daniker, who's the one of the editors at Catapult. This is her memoir about her dad, who was an artist in New York in the 80s, addiction, and it's just killing me. It's like so powerful, and also, of course, has a Carmen Maria Machado quote on the front. So if that doesn't sell it, but it's like, yeah, it's harsh. It's great. Like, literally started reading at work and was like, I can't keep reading this or else I'm just going to break down at work. Yeah, those are my couple picks real quick, but yeah.
So before Amanda gets to her next, pick, first concert. Yep.
Okay. Well, first off, I wanted to mention, who's the publisher on Nancy? Nick?
Sorry, I was not quick to unmute. It's Two Lines.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're doing a giveaway right now. I saw it on. Yeah, beautiful letterpress posters. If you're an Instagrammer and you appreciate paper art like that, you should go check it out because yeah, they're beautiful.
Yeah, it's really cool. And there's like a raffle that you get in for like limited prints that are gonna be awesome. But
yeah,
the book itself is like, it's amazing.
Yeah. My first concert that I went to by myself, I'm a native San Diegan, but I decided to move to Phoenix with a boy at the turn of the century. And yeah. But good things that came out of that were I worked at Half Price Books, which was great. They are wonderful. And I also went to my first concert by myself, which was Typo Negative. And I'm pretty sure I permanently damaged my hearing at this concert around like the turn of the century. But it was amazing and totally worth it. Peter Steele.
Was it indoors or outdoors?
It was outdoors. Yeah. It was great.
I think you win tonight with that concert.
Yeah, for sure. You were definitely cooler than me. I mean,
no, man.
Which everybody already knew. No. But like, I was too young to know.
No, I think the Smiths and the Cure win, personally.
Yeah, but I was like LA in the 80s with my cousins. Like, it wasn't like I knew what I was doing.
And you were
Typo Negative.
or
Typo Negative in Phoenix. That's pretty badass.
Okay. I am a lover of small books, small nonfiction books in series. They have kind of a Pokemon, gotta catch them all quality that I find very enticing. And they're kind of a glimpse into a subject, not necessarily exhaustive, but kind of a like picking a tiny window to look into the cargo hold of a giant ship, like just kind of seeing a big thing through a small lens. I first started noticing them when Oxford started their very small introduction series. This is witchcraft. They have all sorts of subjects. They're up to like 700 of them now. And then MIT has their essential knowledge series, which are really rad. This is irony and sarcasm. I'm working up to what I'm doing here. And then there's also object lessons from Bloomsbury. These are really cool too. CDs, cell towers, Burb. So there's just something really like wonderfully satisfying about being able to stuff a lot of knowledge into your pocket. So now there's this series from a super cool literary press called Biblioasis from Ontario, Canada. And they publish literary fiction, poetry, and nonfiction in very like thoughtfully curated packages. So their small book series is called Field Notes. And on the first page, there's a quote from Voltaire. 20-volume folios will never make a revolution. It's the little pocket pamphlets that are to be feared. That's Voltaire. So this is Mark Kingwell's On Risk. You can see what's on the front here. So this is a very timely subject. I love the author's biography. He's a publisher or a professor of philosophy at University of Toronto and a contributing editor of Harper's Magazine, and has written for publications ranging from Adbusters and the New York Times to the Journal of Philosophy and Auto Racing Digest. Very diverse. So the book says, mortality is the event horizon of daily risk. How should we conceive of it? There's a preface called The Plague Years, and the chapters are entitled The Game of Risk, Luck, Politics, and Death and Taxes. And the writing is scholarly, but it's also very lively and smooth and engaging. And it brings in everything from traditional philosophers to Shakespeare to The Simpsons and Wheel of Fortune. It's very charming and almost like having a good friend with you wherever you go. I really enjoyed this one. And there are others in the series. If you're interested, they have 5 now, on decline, on property, on killing a revolution, and on profiteering, which, surprise, surprise, features Jeff Bezos. So these are all really very important and addressing very timely issues. And I'm excited to see what other topics Biblioasis focuses their lens on. So that's On Risk in the Field Notes series from Biblioasis.
And also keep your
awesome.
eye out for Javier's baseball cards that should be going out soon, right?
What's that?
Oh, Javier should have a.
Oh,
right.
I have
Yeah,
signed copy. Speaking of that, I've got an unsigned Josh Cook that I have to try to remedy.
There you go.
That's awesome. Yeah, Josh, how are we going to make that happen? A virtual signing. You throw in 33 1/3 for the small books as well, right?
Oh my God, you're right.
What an amazing series. I know you've got to have one there.
I do. They're right here.
What do you have?
Freedom of choice.
Oh, nice.
And then also Bitches Brew. Yeah. Yeah. I
They're
love
also doing
little books.
They're also doing the international series, which is really cool. Like they have a bunch coming out this spring that are really cool, like international records and writings on it that I think it's like kind of expanding, you know, like 33 and Third was like cool and you had somebody writing about it, but like now it's getting more into like actual music history in a smaller format, and like these international records, it's really awesome. I think they have some good stuff coming out this year.
Cool.
And the BFI, they're updating their covers and doing some really cool. The British Film Institute is doing their little tiny books as well.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, the covers are incredible. Like the other ones are a little too sort of scholarly, but now they've got some new graphic artists doing the new covers. So we're getting close to the end, unfortunately. If you guys want to stick around longer, that's fine. But how about we do just a lightning round, starting with Josh, and we'll just a couple of books, quick elevator pitch, and we'll move on to Tara and Amanda.
Yeah, so the book you all need to order when it comes out is Ghost in the Throat. Biblioasis title as well. I won't try to say Dorian's last name because it's super Gaelic, but if you search Ghost in the Throat, you'll be able to find it. It's a seance summoning a keening woman drinking the blood of her murdered husband in handful gulps, the time both devoured and enriched by daily tasks, the haggard old woman who watches over so many last moments. It's a genealogy, a book-length translator's introduction, a bonfire. Her investigation into a famous Irish poem and its neglected author digs into the flesh of motherhood, womanhood, history, language, and poetry. It's truly an astonishing achievement. It's 2021's Ducks Newbury report, which will be a useful thing to say to some of this audience. I was going to talk about On Property, so thanks for the intro to that, Amanda. But basically, Ronaldo's argument is that all kind of abolition, prison, police abolition movements really need to focus as well on the abolition of the idea of property, because it is from the idea of property and the fact that humans were once property that these other things built out. He's taking a lot of time building up the concept because I think it's a pretty radical idea to a lot of people, but it's really fascinating. And everything Amanda said about the series, I say about this, and I'll just, all the sad white boys. The latest John Foss is out. I is another. I guess my one sentence pitch of this is, what if you are your own doppelganger? It's a septology. So there are technically 7 books in it, and Transit, who got a call out here at some point, is doing it in like chunks. So 2 or 3 books at a time. Yeah, what if you were your own doppelganger?
All right. Those were great picks. Thanks, Josh, for the lightning round. Tara, you are up next.
Okay, I'll keep it short. I was reading a bunch of fantasy. So this is like the Gilded Ones. It was supposed to come out in 2020, and I was waiting for it and waiting for it. It got pushed back 2021. So are we girls or are we demons? I mean, we all ask ourselves that question, right? So it's very much about the patriarchy, girl power. Girls are being tested when they're 15. Does their blood run pure red or is it something else? Well, her blood runs gold. And so she's banished or killed. They try to kill her, but of course she doesn't die because she's a demon, and they steal the gold. She gets taken away to fight for her country. And it's kind of a Black Panther-ish Dora Milaje warrior women, and she ends up being like the most powerful. It is fantastic. They are calling her the Toni Morrison of fantasy, which, I mean, that's like but this is her first novel, and it's YA. In the same realm is The Last Gate of the Emperor, which is very much Afrofuturist. I can't even talk today. I'm trying to rush. I can't rush. Afrofuturist. So it's a little bit of fantasy, a little bit of sci-fi, a lot of tech, a modern take on an African civilization built on a lot of technology, there's flying, there's robots and all this other stuff. But basic premise, a boy ends up playing a video game, much like Ready Player One, a virtual reality game. And instead of using his avatar, he has to use his own name. So when he uses his own name, everything is just totally disrupted, and he finds out what his actual heritage is. And then all the myths that he was told are actually true. Very, very good. Highly recommended for middle grade. And then we have Milo. And I don't need to talk about this because everybody knows this book. I mean, I don't need to say anything, but we have it, and we have Milo. He's so cute. That's it.
We're very fortunate. Matt Della Pena is a local here, so he came in to sign some for us.
Ah,
So cool.
jealous.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That is fantastic. Thanks, Tara. That was a great presentation, and
Okay.
you were great. You were really good. You didn't sound rushed at all.
Okay. I felt it's hard. I talk a lot, so I'm trying.
You were fantastic. All right, Amanda.
So I apologize. I thought for some reason this is 2 hours long, so I would have waxed less poetic on the other books if I knew.
It can be 3 hours long if you want. We can stay here all night.
No, I'll be quick. I'll talk the most about this one. This is Night Bitch by a debut novelist, Rachel Yoder. This book cast a spell on me. It's out on July 20th. I read it pretty much in one take, just with a few brief breaks. Basically, this ambitious artist, she puts her art career on hold to stay at home with her son. And 2 years in, she is kind of losing her mind. This toddler barely sleeps, and her husband's out all week at work. And then one day she notices there's a weird patch of hair on the back of her neck. And then it feels like maybe her teeth are feeling sharper. And then there's a weird little nub on the back of her tailbone that kind of feels like a tail. She thinks she might be turning into a dog. She doesn't know who to talk to about this. She goes to the library and she finds a mysterious book called A Field Guide to Magical Women, a mythical ethnography. And so she's kind of trying to figure out what's going on. It's got shades of Kafka. Right off the bat, she mentions reading The Yellow Wallpaper. So it's very visceral, and it kind of explores dreams deferred, especially how mothers often put things on hold. It just grabbed me right from the get-go and didn't let go. And the ending, I wasn't totally expecting, but I'm still thinking about it, and it's super thought-provoking. And then really quick, future feeling. Joss Lake. This book is wild. In a near future New York, a trans man is kind of obsessed with another trans man on the gram, in very much like Instagram, meets his idol and is totally disappointed by the experience, so decides to put a hex on him through the gram. And the hex goes awry. So our hero Penfield has to go on a journey to try to fix the hex that he put on a complete stranger. Super weird, awesome near future book. And then last one, The Madman's Library. This is a book for book lovers. It features all these photos. It has stories of esoteric, weird, edible books, alchemist scrolls, wearable books, books of spectacular size. It's a gorgeous kind of gift book. Also, my personal favorite here is A Book Made of Cheese. Come on. So that's from Chronicle. It's just a fantastic gift book for people who love books, that have all the books they need and didn't know they needed another book about books. Okay, so I'll stop right there. I could keep going, but I'm not going to.
So we're going to open up the, ask everyone that's here watching to if they want to turn their cameras and hang out afterwards. We can do like a after party thing. If you guys don't have to stick around if you guys have other things to do. I'm talking to our panelists, but we'd love to have you stick around for a little bit. Speaking of, so that book sounds awesome, and the cheese book is something I would love to partake in. But do you remember, like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, there was an edition of Fahrenheit 451 where you had to light, it was all coated in like this flammable material, so you had to light the pages on fire in order to see the text. Did I dream that?
Rad.
I think I might have dreamt that, but I think it's real. Google it.
Wait, when was that?
It's like 4 years ago. Like 4 or 5 years ago. I was still at the book table, and I came across this, and there were like maybe 100 editions available. But they showed like a video presentation where you had to like light the pages on fire in order to see the text, which is crazy. Still might be a dream. I still might have dreamt that.
Yeah. Yeah, that might have been like a. That might have been like a. That might have been like a 3 a.m. casino Baltimore thing, man.
Yeah, was that? I think I told you the next morning.
And I'm like, I don't think it's real. Sorry.
Look it up. Maybe it happened.
Look it up.
Cool story. It's still a cool
I'll
story.
let you bring the proof, man.
So if anyone, our audience out there, if you want to come and hang out and talk to everybody about books, you guys don't have to stick around, but we'd love for you. We can do it. Amanda was here for 2 hours. She'd say it's for 2 hours, so at least she's going to stick around for that long. Thank you guys so much. This was amazing. Like I said, I do this to see you guys, but I'm always amazed. Like Nick said, like you just find these great books you never thought about, and we all have different tastes, and sometimes we have the same taste, but at the same time, we're always learning from each other. And I think that's why I love doing these things. And we're able to do this. One of the great things about COVID is that I can talk to you guys, from thousands of miles away. So thank you guys so much for doing this.
No, we all thank COVID for that too.
Yeah, every day, when I wake up. No, I do. Has anybody read this, by the way?
It's awesome. It's so good.
It's so good. I'm halfway through, and that's the one. This is my one.
I didn't want to pitch too many New Directions books because that's my problem. But that book is awesome. It's so good.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
I was like so upset when I got it because I was like, Space Invaders was like 200 pages or like 180, and I was like, oh, and I'm getting the Nona book, and then I was like, why is it so long? But no, it's fucked up and amazing and great, as expected.
Mm-hmm.
Normally longer than any book that I read, but anyway, sorry. I'll stop.
What is your sweet spot for novels? Is it, because mine's like 220? I'm good. 220 pages, right around there.
Under 200 pages. I'm down.
Yeah, I think we all feel the same way.
I mean, every once in a while,
so
like
much.
not for nonfiction, obviously, but like novels, I'm like under 200 pages. It's fine. It's awesome. But every once in a while I hear pictures of stuff that I'm like, oh, but I want to invest in this. And usually it's like a matter of like reading too many books at one time. So
yeah.
Then there's something I hear and I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to read that. That's no doubt. So I do read longer books, but it's like the Ober story. Like everybody told me how great it was. I was like, it's like an investment. I know someday I'm going to read it and love it, but it's doing fine on its own. I'll keep reading these shorter books that nobody knows.
Doing your part.
I don't know. Somehow.
So everyone start showing your faces, participants, unless you're ashamed. There's Tom Flynn.
There you go. Immediately.
There she is.